Welcome, everyone, to episode 56 of the Missing Pieces podcast. If this is your first time watching or listening, as this is available everywhere that podcasts are available, my name's Greg, and this is where I sit down and I discuss my life, Lego, and quite frankly, anything else that's on my mind each week. I want to thank you for being here with me. This is my favorite thing that I do each week, and it's an honor to have you here. Speaking of honors to have them there, good segue into our Patreon thank you of the week, which goes out to Sean Studios. Thank you so much for joining us on Patreon and supporting this channel. And it was great to meet you on Tuesday during our Tuesday lunch in Lego, which I have to say, if anyone would like some more brickitect in their life, if you're like, you know what, daily uploads on 2 channels just isn't enough for me, I need more Greg and Clark. Patreon link is down below. Help support the channel, and you get to become a part of our Tuesday lunch in Lego and our Friday night patron-only stream, and also secret Patreon videos as well. Woo! Speaking of woo, I have all these great segues today, guys. How about the new lighting? I'm working on it. I went a little crazy, went on Amazon, bought some things, spent a little bit of money, and we got a little bit of lighting set up in here. This is only the beginning, though, my friends. I love lighting. Lighting is like a passion of mine, just like video making is. I like having the correct temperature of lights. I like being able to get like a really good looking studio. And I just set a couple things up. It's actually going to be in a vlog this week on Greg's World if you're curious or if you want to watch it. But it's kind of like, I think it's kind of cool. Like I went from really sucky setup here to like kind of sucky, and I have some things that are going to be coming this week that's going to make it better, and I think I'm just eventually going to have this whole place lit up. What you see behind you there is it's an LED strip behind the TV, so I can change that to any color, and maybe we'll change it every single week. I've got a light over here, I've got a light over there, I'm going to have another light over there. Just give me time here, guys. It's going to be pretty cool, but I was inspired by brickitect, a new friend of mine that I met through online Lego streaming. This is a place you can actually make friends, guys. And we're doing some live streams together, and he comes on to my stream, and he's got like this beautiful lighting setup, and I'm just like, I need that in my life. So he inspired me. I'm going to link his channel down below if you want to go support him. He's a really good guy. He's a UK detector. I just have all these like UK detector friends now. I think I'm just going to become a UK detector myself. I would do an impression now, but I don't want to lose all those friends that I just made, so we're not going to do that. But we do have a little bit of lighting in here, and I also upgraded my camera setup here a little bit as well. It's using a capture card and stuff. So this should look better than any other, I almost said Bricks and Brits. This should look better than any other Missing Pieces episode has ever looked in the history of this series. And that feels pretty dang good. And it's only going to get better from here. I'm always trying to improve and make things better for you guys. But what it really comes down to here is the content. And speaking of content, oh my God, the segues are just rolling today. You guys really enjoyed last week's episode. First of all, you guys love Clark Man coming in, creeping down the stairs like some type of ghost or something, and then introducing himself into the video or the podcast. And we had a nice little conversation there, and I really enjoyed that, and you guys did too. I was looking at the comments. I was like, oh, you guys like the Clark Man. Okay. I know most of you are only here for Clark Man, so I appreciate everyone else that sticks with me 95% of the time that he's not here in these episodes. But speaking of the amazing feedback last episode, it was probably the best feedback that I've ever received on any Missing Pieces that we've ever done. There were 2 topics that we talked about, one of which was when did you get a cell phone? When did you get a smartphone? When do you think kids should get a smartphone? I have 3 pages of notes on that, which we're going to talk about a little more later. I'm thinking about finally doing the little bonus episode to these episodes, which is going to be called Extra Pieces. So we go from Missing Pieces, which I think everyone can relate to when you're building a set and you're like, where is it at, to Extra Pieces, which I can certainly relate to because I suck at building Lego sets. When you finish a bag or a set and you're sitting there looking at all these pieces you have left and you're like, yeah, that should totally go on there somewhere. Extra Pieces. And I think it's going to be a podcast only thing, but we'll talk more about that when we get into viewer feedback, which will be coming up here in a little bit. The other topic that we went over last week was the whole topic of school, whether online school is good, whether you should be in school, whether I should send Clark to school. And you guys had a lot to say about that as well. So we'll be talking about that later in this episode after I talk about my life Lego and whatever happened this week. Starting with, this was a week where we're all home together. I told you guys last week that Cody was on quarantine because she had a sinus infection that kind of started, and being that she works for the school, she wanted to play it safe, and she reported it, and they were like, listen, you can't come into school until you get a COVID test. And then once you have that and it comes back negative, you can come back to school. So she waited. She went in Monday morning for this COVID test, which apparently was an awful experience. They drove like a Q-tip straight up her nose, like super far, and then like the first one didn't work, so they had to do it again. And it was you don't want to get a COVID test, is what I've learned from this. So I'm literally going to stay in my studio here until COVID's cured, and we're just going to live stream every day. No, do I want that? Maybe. I don't know. I want to become a hermit, I guess, but I don't want to ever take a COVID test based on what she said. She waited this entire week, though. She was home this entire week, so it was kind of cool to have her here. But finally, Friday morning, they called back and were like, you're clear, no COVID. So she went into school Friday afternoon, and it was just cool being all home as a family. It felt like the old days when everything went on lockdown, which I'm hoping doesn't happen again. Although I'm reading some things about Europe and how bad things are getting there, and I'm wondering what our future looks like here. But I don't want to weigh us down with the COVID talk. I feel like somehow our episodes always get into that. But it's a thing that I guess everyone's dealing with, and it has become a part of my life Lego and anything that's on my mind each week. So that's why it finds its way into here. But it was nice having her home. And she was home then also for the board meeting that they had. She had to like Skype into it or whatever. Wait, Skype? Zoom? I don't know. Whatever people are using these days, whatever young kids are using these days to interact with this technology here. She attended the board meeting virtually, and they're going to determine this Tuesday, and this is a follow-up on last week's episode, what they're going to do with our school. Is it going to go to 5 days a week with no social distancing and everyone just wearing masks because that's what other schools are doing? Or are they going to stick to the 2-day school week where it's just a hybrid system that they're in right now, where kids go either like Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, with Friday being a fully remote day? A lot of people apparently are speaking out against this 5-day week. Not only parents, but teachers as well, because of the lack of safety concern with it, and also the fact that the teachers need to still prepare for the students that are doing remote, and there's just not enough time in the day or even in the evenings or weekends to get all of this stuff done to do everything that's required of these teachers. And I know I'm kind of biased on this because my wife's a teacher and I hear it from her end. And maybe you're one of those people that are like, teachers, they get 3 months off. They get paid pretty well. At least here in Pennsylvania, they do. And like they should be working harder. They should be able to do this. But it's a lot when you have students you're teaching in class, and then you have to prepare an entire another like workflow for kids that are at home, because that's still a thing too. We still have the option right now to keep Clark remote or to do whatever they're planning to do. And our plan for right now is if they stay with the hybrid system where it's 2 days a week, Clark will probably go Monday and Wednesday, I believe. We are going to most likely put him into the hybrid system just so he can get a taste of the school. He can get a taste of what it's like. They're still doing as much social distancing and stuff as you can probably anticipate 5-year-olds doing, which I don't know what that consists of, but I think it would give him a better education versus what he's getting right now. We're going to talk about your thoughts on this here in a bit, but the remote learning thing, at least the way it's set up with the teacher we have, and essentially it being a curated list of YouTube videos for him to watch with a little bit of instruction here, I don't think is the best thing for him. And I know Clark is at a small advantage here because I'm home with him and I can try to help him through that and give him additional things to do. But I don't know. I'm still split on this. Again, we're going to be talking about this a little bit. Once we go to this hybrid system, I'll say this. If we do switch to the hybrid system where he starts going, there is no going back to remote. The only people that are in remote now are the people that are grandfathered in. And they're actually setting a thing up now where if you start failing and if you're not doing well, they're going to pull you out of remote. So they don't want kids being remote anymore. So I don't know if I should just count my blessings that Clark is in that system and we can still take advantage of it, and maybe we should, or if we should do the hybrid thing where he could go in, have a couple days. He could have art lessons there. He could have music lessons there, phys ed there, as opposed to standing in our dining or our office, like dancing around and doing phys ed motions and such. Phys ed motions, whatever they assign him to do through YouTube videos. It's so tough. We'll talk about it though. We're going to talk about your stuff. I think the best part of this episode is going to be the viewer feedback or listener feedback, depending on how you're absorbing this into your conscious. Let's talk about the next topic though. We'll have more follow-ups on that this coming, I guess, next episode, because we'll find out Tuesday, and then Sunday I'll tell you what happened exactly. Let's talk about Amazon Prime Day. This is a big deal, I guess. Even though I thought Amazon Prime Day was in July, maybe they just randomly put Amazon Prime Days out. It's like, yay, Amazon Prime Day is happening today. hey, Jeff Bezos needs a couple more $1 billion. Let's have another Amazon Prime Day. They did it this week, and I think it ran for 2 days. I shared some of the Lego deals that they had. It wasn't anything amazing. It wasn't like you could get the Technic Lamborghini for $100. It wasn't. It was okay stuff. I shared the deals on my community page or community tab. If you don't know how to find that, you go to like the homepage of YouTube or on your app. You can click on community and you can see all this stuff there. I try to post deals when they come up, and whether that's from Amazon, who I have like an affiliate relationship with, or if it's from like any company, I just like to. I look at deals all the time and I'm like, why don't I share these? Maybe someone else would appreciate it. And I get comments back where people are like, yeah, dude, I picked this up and stuff. So that made me happy. I didn't get any Lego though for Amazon Prime Day. Although that's not true. I got a little something as a Christmas gift for a friend in the future that I'm going to hold on to. I can't share it with you, but I snagged that. I almost got the Droid Boost bundle, the Droid, I guess it's, it's a little R2-D2 and the Gonk Droid and the Mouse Droid. I almost got that at Target for $120, but me being Dealitect, I made a video on this, and this always happens. I got to start ordering my stuff before I share it with you guys. It's like that thing where you're in an airplane and you got to put your oxygen mask on before you give everyone else their oxygen mask. Because I do these deal videos, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go buy this now that it's uploading. Gone. So I missed out on the $120 Droid Boost bundle, or whatever it's called, command set. And I almost bought it on Amazon. They had it for $134. This is a $200 set, by the way. One that I would never imagine paying that much for. But the price range was getting to where I was like, we're getting there. I ended up passing on the Amazon one, and I'm glad I did, because like a day later, I ended up getting it through Woot, which apparently is an Amazon company now, and I got it for $105, and it's on its way. So that was really cool. I had no idea what Woot was. I didn't know they were affiliated with Amazon, but all I had to do was just put my Amazon credentials in, and boom, there it was. The interesting thing was it was available at $105 through Woot. Completely out of stock at Amazon at the $134 or whatever they're selling it for, and you couldn't buy it at all. So why did they do that? Why didn't they just filter that stock over to Amazon and then sell it for the $134 through Prime Days and make extra money? I don't know. Jeff Bezos is slipping here. Is this the Attack Jeff Bezos hour? He's a smart guy. I don't have any issues with him. He's done very well for himself. But man, are we going to talk about this? Does anyone really need that much money? Could he use that money to like better everyone? Socialism. You guys hate that, right? It's like a naughty word here in the United States, at least. You say someone's a socialist, you might as well be insulting their mama, because it's every man for himself. You can't help other people out, right? You gotta do for yourself and crush the competition. Okay, let's not go there. I'm gonna get you guys fired up. Things you can't talk about. What I've learned, at least through live streaming, you can't talk about soccer with UK people, or football as they call it. They start talking about it, they have competing teams, friendships ruined. You also can't talk about politics. Those are the two things you cannot talk about, because you're going to alienate a lot of people when you do that. So you got to keep your views to yourself. My views are probably leaked through in some of these episodes. You may know where I stand. And if that runs counter to where you stand, that's fine. We can still be friends, right? Like, everyone has their own viewpoint. I don't think anyone's necessarily right or wrong. It's just, what do you think? Like, how do you feel? What do you think's the best thing? And you use that information to vote for who you think you should vote for, which is coming up too. I plan to vote this year. I voted twice in my life so far. Last election, and I voted the election before that. I should have been voting this entire time. I didn't know this was going to go this way, but I'm going to say this. I always felt like whoever was president, or whoever was running everything in the country, this seems so dumb now that I think about it. I was like, how does that really impact my life? Whether it's, let's go back a couple years, whether it's Mitt Romney or Barack Obama in office, does it really impact me? Like, is my life going to change in any way? And I've learned in the last 4 years that who you vote for very much changes your life, no matter what. It's going to change a lot of things, and you got to make the right decision. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to talk any more politics here. I don't want to lose any more viewers, and you guys have already bailed on me because of it. I'll have to go bring Clarkman down to get you guys back or something. But all I'm saying is, if you are old enough to vote, and if you're in the United States, which I know kind of limits our numbers here, because there's people everywhere, and there's younger people, older. I guess older people can vote too. Let your voice be heard. I know it's a little inconvenient, but let your voice be heard. Anyways, let's go on to more Amazon Prime Day talk. Where this is interesting, right? Like you never know where this conversation is going to go, and I think it's kind of fun that sometimes you could be talking about Amazon Prime Day, and someday you could be talking about why it's important to vote. This podcast is like a box of chocolates. Anyways, don't ever do that again, Greg. Let's talk about what I did pick up for Amazon Prime Day. I got some AirPods. It's a thing. I never had any AirPods in my life. I just had like the wired ones. These are the wireless ones, and when I'm playing basketball and stuff or riding a bike, it's nice to be able to listen to something. And it sucks to have that wire that's going in your pocket. And I know it's first world problems here, but I was like, you know what? These things are only $115. I think they're usually like $160. So I thought I'd try them out, and I'm pretty happy with them. We got them in the mail. Stuff came fast. Amazon was really killing it. I guess they have to. If they're going to profess it to be Prime Days, they need to get it to you lickety split. So I got those. I've been enjoying them a little bit. I also got a $40 Amazon gift card. They were doing a thing where if you buy a gift card, you then can, $40 or more, they'll give you $10 back. And I thought, well, I pretty much spend, this is where I buy pretty much everything. In fact, the lights that you see there, everything that I get is through Amazon. It's just super convenient. I ended up doing the $40 gift card, and they just applied that to my account. And I'm assuming the $10 one gets applied as well. It's like a free $10. I thought that was pretty cool. In other Apple news, though, I talked about the AirPods. This week, they revealed the new iPhone 12, which is something I was really looking forward to. Not because I necessarily care that much about phones, per se. What I really care about is having the best camera that I can possibly have at any point on me at all times. And I have been upgrading my iPhone every year lately for that reason. Like, especially last year was important because they went from the 2-camera setup to the ultra wide lens, which I like to use quite often. And it's so handy to have. So you go from like super wide shot to the wide shot to the telephoto lens. And that was like a big addition of the iPhone 11 Pro last year. So I ended up getting that phone, upgrading from the iPhone 10s is what I had before that. And then before that, I had the iPhone 8, and before that, I had the 6S. So I was going like every couple years, and then I went to the last 2 years I've upgraded each year, and now this year I'm most likely going to upgrade again. Not because the iPhone 12 is like revolutionary. It's still kind of the same setup as the 11, but this one has a little bit better camera, and that is what intrigues me because I film a lot of my videos with iPhones. Like not much here in the studio. What you see here on the Lego channel, I don't like to use the iPhone indoors because it's not great in low light. I use it kind of when I'm out and about. Like when we go to Target to go shopping, or if we're just going anywhere, I find that using an iPhone is fantastic because it's discreet and you have it in your pocket. I don't want to take a giant camera with me. And I think I talked about this a little bit last week, so I won't bore you too much with it. But I like having that technology in my pocket. And I find that my iPhone is my favorite piece. It's probably my favorite tool that I have in my life. And for that, I'm okay spending the money to upgrade. One, because they have a pretty decent trade-in program. I think to trade in my iPhone 11 Pro, they're going to give me $450 for that. And I paid, I guess, $1,100 for it last year. So maybe that's bad. But the way I see it is I spent $1,100 on this thing, which was a tax write-off. This is a business expense as far as I'm concerned, and my accountant is as well. And as long as he signs off on that, and if Uncle Sam's good with that, I'm cool with that too. So every phone that I get is a tax write-off. But they give you $450 back towards that. So I'm out about $700. And the biggest thing that I need to decide is which phone do I want to get. This year, it's not as pronounced in terms of the differences between the iPhone 12 and the 12 Pro. They're very similar, but you do lose that telephoto lens, which I don't use that much. I use the wide lens because oftentimes I'm trying to capture more. And then most times I use the main lens because it has the best quality. So this year I could potentially go to the iPhone 12 and not get the Pro. But then Apple throws a little monkey wrench at us by saying that the 12 Pro Max has a better camera setup or system with a better sensor and also stabilization than what the Pro and the 12 have, and the Mini, which is like the small version of everything. And some people are down for that because they want a small phone again. I like having a slightly bigger phone. I love the size of like the regular iPhones, like the 12 and the 12 Pro are 6.1 inches. I think that the iPhone 11 Pro, this is 5.9 inches, I believe. So slightly bigger, maybe 5.8. But this Pro Max is throwing a monkey wrench at me. I would have probably just ordered a Pro on Friday when they went for pre-order. But I want to see how much the camera really is improved because, again, that's the most important thing to me. This phone literally does everything that I need it to do without a problem. I've never had anyone say, man, your video quality looks like crap, your audio is crap. Never happened. But I like to have the best that I can get for what I do because these memories that I'm recording, they only happen once, right? And I want to do it in the best quality that I can. So that kind of goes back to the Pro Max, where maybe I upgrade to the Max because I'm trying to get the best camera that I can possibly get. The only thing that's kind of holding me back is the fact that the Pro Max is a giant phone, and I don't necessarily want to carry that around in my pocket, right? Like, it's 6.7 inches. This is 5.8, so you're adding like an extra inch onto this, and that's concerning. So I'm gonna wait. The pre-orders were staggered this year, so there was the 12 and 12 Pro went pre-order on last Friday, and they'll be available this Friday. And then I think it's like a 3-week window where there's nothing happening, and then the Max and the Mini come out. So I need to see some videos before I do anything, and then I'll make my decision and I'll report back to you guys on that. Even though probably no one cares, it's just that was what was happening in my week this week, and that was like a big event for me. I'm like, oh, what's the iPhone 12 going to be like? And to be honest, I was impressed at first. Then I was kind of disappointed that there was no like big leap. You know, like these phones from the day that Steve Jobs held the first iPhone up to now, they're faster, they're bigger, the cameras are better. But like, what's the next big thing gonna be? When are they gonna take it from like iPhone to like IVR or something where you just have like a heads-up display in front of you? Like, where is the next big thing? We just keep making these little incremental changes in these phones, but they're the same as they've always been. What's the next thing? It's iPad. It's bigger. I don't know. I love technology, and I like it when it can make your life better. And I wish there was more people like Steve Jobs that saw like this thing and was like, this could change the world, and it did. And now you see all these other cell phone companies that are essentially have iPhones only under their own name and operating system and stuff, whether it be Android or whatever. And they're all just kind of milking that, I guess. Now here we are, how many years later? Like 14 years later, still kind of doing the same thing. It's kind of a bummer when you think about it. But I do want to have that really good camera. Let's move now from Phonetect over to Watchitect. And I got to tell you about a series that we watched here on Netflix this week. With all of our downtime, being that we're all home together, we did a little bit of binge watching. And the show that we binge watched is Cobra Kai. If you guys don't know what Cobra Kai is, essentially it is a follow-up on The Karate Kid, which is a movie from the 80s starring Ralph Macchio as the Karate Kid. And I won't give you the whole backstory to Karate Kid. If you don't know what Karate Kid is, go give it a watch. It's a fantastic movie. You got to be careful here because I don't want to say too much, but Cobra Kai is the story of Daniel, who is the Karate Kid from back in the day, and Johnny, who was his nemesis from back in the day. But now the story doesn't focus on Daniel as much as it focuses on Johnny now and his life, and he's kind of grown up to be a loser, unfortunately. He's an alcoholic. He's not able to hold down a job, and you kind of see the world from his perspective, and they take you back through the history of the Karate Kid movie, and they show you Johnny's perspective, where maybe he wasn't necessarily just the bad guy. Maybe he's actually a good guy. He's just trying to find his way. But they also focus on Daniel, who's now grown up as well, and he owns a car dealership. And these guys end up starting to cross their paths again, and Johnny ends up recreating Cobra Kai and inviting students in. And I think that's where I'll leave it off with the spoiler alerts, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens after that. But if you are old enough to know what Karate Kid is, you're going to love Cobra Kai. And if you're not, you're going to love Cobra Kai. It's a great series. There's 2 seasons on there. We binged both seasons. Like, we're completely done with this series in a week. And it was really good. And season 3 starts in January. So if you want to watch it now, you're going to have a little bit of a wait time before the next season starts. But it's fantastic. And they show you a lot of footage from the original Karate Kid. So if you haven't seen it yet, you probably don't need to see it. But if you have a chance to watch Karate Kid, which I looked on Amazon Video, and it's only like, I think $8 to own, or you could rent it anywhere for like $4. I recommend doing it. It's a really good 80s movie, and I don't know. I talk about nostalgia a lot on this podcast, and this kind of brought me back to that. Sweep the leg. Anyways, that was my watch tech of the week. I think my next thing that I'm going to start watching is called, is it The Haunting of Bly Manor, or Haunting at Bly Manor? It's a scary series that's on Netflix. Yeah, it's called The Haunting of Bly Manor. I've heard good things about it, and I'm excited to give it a watch, so I'll report back to you on that. There's only, I think, 1 season of that, so I should be able to crank that out fairly quickly, especially when you go into binge mode and you're like, one more. You guys ever be that way? We always get into that where it's like, we're about ready to go to bed and we watch an episode, and then we look at each other and it's like, one more, and you go into that last one, which is what we did with Cobra Kai as well. The final season, or the second season, I should say, I think there's 10 episodes, and we were on 9. And I'm like, well, there's only 1 more left. We should probably just finish it out. So we did. and I don't regret it. So there's my recommendation of the week for something to watch. Cobra Kai. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. I will say this for anybody that's out there that's watching this right now and you're about to type a comment. I love listener feedback a lot, but don't give me listener feedback on things I should watch, because that ends up it just clogs up the entire comment section of like, you should watch this, you should watch this, you should watch this. So if you were thinking about commenting that, like if you have a recommendation, try to save it for something else that we've talked about or we're going to talk about, because I would love to hear from you on that. I don't need any recommendations though for things to watch on Netflix though. I appreciate it though. Let's move now into the speculation that this is actually a Lego podcast and I should talk about Lego. We'll do that now for you folks that are here just for the Lego. I'll tell you about the thing that I finished this week, and I don't know if you can see it back there. I don't think you can because of my epic lighting now, but I finished the Batmobile. And I have to say, like I gave you recommendations for Cobra Kai and how much I enjoyed that. Talking about 80s movies, let's talk about Batman. This Batmobile is amazing. It's top 5 of my Lego sets that I've ever built. It may have moved into number 3. Like Voltron is over here shook. He's like, I'm going to lose my spot to the Batmobile. It's an amazing set. $250 set. Double VIP is still going on right now. So I'm going to try to sell you guys on this as hard as I can. If you love Lego cars or if you like highly detailed models, the Batmobile is amazing. Like the curves on it, the proportions, everything is spot on. I had a very, very awesome time building it. I did every part of it on a live stream, whether it was a patron-only live stream on Friday nights, or if it was a group stream with my buddies on brickitect Live, which if you're not subscribed, the link's down below. It was awesome. So a part of it is the fact that it's an amazing model, that I love it. But also a part of it is I've had some fantastic times chatting with my friends while building it. And for me, a Lego set isn't just about the build. It's about the experience or like the time that I build it. Like Apocalypseburg, I talked about this yesterday. Apocalypseburg is right there in those shadows. And a part of Apocalypseburg is not only that it's a good Lego set, but that I built that during the quarantine streams. And I remember that time in my life and what that was like. And even though it was a bad time for most people, it was a time in my life where I connected with a lot of people and we had really just awesome times live streaming this build, and I did it over multiple days. It was great. And the Batmobile kind of falls into that as well. But between those two sets, I think the Batmobile as a model is just so good. And I'm stoked to have it in my collection. Although I am a little scared because it's going to be a dust magnet. There's currently fingerprints all over it. I think I'm going to do a video where I just kind of talk about my feelings on it. Not necessarily a review, because there's guys out there that do that much better than I do. But I want to talk about my feelings on it, which will be some of this that you've heard here. Spoiler alert. But I also kind of want to show what it looks like after you're done building it with the fingerprints. And there's a certain piece on the roof of it that kind of triggers me, and I'll talk more about that. I just want to let you guys know that I did get that built yesterday, and hopefully some of you saw the stream on it. It was awesome. I have questions of whether I'm going to get the Batwing or not. I am going to get the Batwing. I don't know if I'm going to get it right away, though, because it's so similar to the Batmobile that I don't necessarily want to go right into that right now. And that's coming out, I think, is it coming out like tomorrow-ish? So it's coming out very soon. I don't know when, but I'm going to hold off on that. I'll wait for like the next VIP thing or something to happen where I snag that. But that'll be really cool on the wall. But I think more than that on the wall, I'd like to get Darth Maul on the wall. And on the topic of Darth Maul, which this is just an episode of Epic Segways, that's my next build. You see those red pieces that are behind me right there? That's going to be the Darth Maul bust eventually. Zach Holmes sent that to me in Patreon. I had some people say, I didn't realize you got the Darth Maul bust. I did. I opened it up during a Friday night Patreon stream because Zach sent me this package and he's like, you got to open it up with us live. So I opened it up and it was like Darth Maul. And you guys know that's been like my most wanted set for a very long time because of just how creepy it is. And it's just a cool model. And I'm going to put it front and center behind my setup back here. So every time I make a video, Darth Maul is staring at you guys in the face. I love that kind of stuff. I like buildable figure type things. I like creepy Lego, and that checks all my boxes. It's going to be a nightmare of a build. I don't have the paper instructions, so everything's going to be digital, which is going to be, it's going to suck, and all the pieces are just like black and red, of course, so it's going to be a grind. I think I'm going to stream some of it. It's going to be tough, but I think with my friends there and stuff, it'll be a good time, and I'm just excited to share that with you and to have that on display especially. Just got to get through that build, but that's going to be like my next big thing, and then the Bugatti is next after that, and we're just going to keep moving on. The backlog is shrinking, my friends. Clarky built a bunch of stuff this week again as well. I'm going to be sharing all that in videos, so I won't go over it here, but that's kind of the Lego portion of things today. There's a couple days this week I didn't have a chance to make videos. Just so busy with making the Greg's World vlogs. To try to put out a 20-minute video out there it's a considerable amount of time, and I appreciate you guys dealing with me on that. I will say, if Clark does go to the hybrid system of the 2 days per week, Lego videos are going to be popping like crazy on here. You guys are going to be excited. The Renaissance that I wanted or was planning to do when Clark went to school, I think I can get that done in the 2 days he's at school. Like I'm going to come down here and that's going to be my grind time. So from 8 to 3 or whenever he's gone, it's going to be Lego Central. So you guys are going to be seeing a lot of videos, and I'm excited about that, and I hope you are too. But that pretty much wraps up everything that I wanted to talk about this week. We went over quite a bit there. We're going to go into listener feedback this time. And I mentioned earlier that there was the feedback on the last episode was probably the best that I've seen. And the one thing that was really over the top was on phones, your experience with phones. A lot of younger kids talking about when they got a phone, when it's appropriate to get a phone, their thoughts on that. And I think I'm going to make a companion piece to this that's going to be only available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other podcasting platforms, because I don't want to clog up the brickitect channel with all these episodes of podcasts. But I'm going to do an audio only version of your guys' thoughts on phones. It's going to be called Extra Pieces. It's going to be right above this when you go into the podcast directories. You'll be able to see it there. In fact, I'm probably going to record it as this is uploading, so that should be out fairly soon. And now that I said it, I have to do it. But I have about 3 pages of comments that I can read through there. I'm not going to give too many of my opinions. I just want to put yours out there so people can hear it. But again, it's not going to be on YouTube. If that's where you're listening to this, it's going to be like an extra thing. So if you go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever the heck you guys are using to listen to podcasts out there, that'll be there to listen to. And if you've never done that before, it'll be an opportunity for you to do that. And then you can make this an audio presentation regularly if you want to, and you could be doing all kinds of amazing things like rock climbing and skydiving and stuff while you listen to me talk about Lego for like 3 minutes of an hour-long podcast. But the phones conversation, there was one comment in particular that I wanted to share here because I thought that it covered it so well that this needs to be shared. And this is from user Stuff Things. And I'm going to read this to the best of my abilities. All of this reading that happens now, just know that everything is really well written. I just suck at reading. So let's go into it here. He or she says, about your topic on the age to get electronics, as a 15-year-old, I really respect how my parents guided and raised me in this social media age. I got my first phone when I turned 9 because my parents said I needed a method to communicate with them on my new and longer walk to school. They controlled it strongly, and I learned that I should ask them to download things and make new accounts even after I realized that I could get away without doing so. I am now in high school and my life is surrounded by technology. I am constantly using my laptop for school, my PC for coding and playing games, or my phone to communicate and watch YouTube videos. I am, however, very happy that I learned to use it in moderation. And I feel sorry for the kids I see in school who can't seem to get 5 minutes without checking their phone, even if they know it will get them in trouble. Sorry for the long answer, but in the end, I think it was less about the age of the child, but how much understanding they have. You have to communicate the risks with them so they are not out of their element when they start getting deeper into the digital world, and teach them to use it as a tool. As the documentary said, not let it control you. Thanks for the great episode and thought-provoking question. I just want to start by saying that was an incredibly well-written response from a 15-year-old. My wife would kill to have you as a student. Wow. So well thought out. So many great, I don't want to say ideas there, but like philosophy on technology. Like you experienced it. Your parents did the right thing. You appreciate it. And now you are in a much better position than a lot of these kids are that are obsessed with technology. It sounds like your parents did the right thing. And that's what I'm hoping to do for Clarkman as well. But that was just one of the comments there from the phone conversation. Again, if you want to listen to that episode, it'll be up shortly after this one. And I'm excited for you guys to hear all the things you had to say last week about that, because there was a lot. We're going to move on now to the other big topic of the week, which was on schooling. I mentioned last week, and we talked a little bit this week, that Clarkman could potentially be going back to school, and I was speculating on whether that was a good idea or not. And you guys had a lot to say about it, a lot of differing viewpoints here, and I thought I'd share some of these. This is going to be there's quite a few of them here, so let's jump into it here with the first one. These are in no particular order, but this first one is from Mateo Hans, who's a repeat offender on here, and I always appreciate the feedback. He says, socialization is super important for a young child, but I don't think there would be much socialization with all these C-word rules and distancing. I think he's talking about Chima. I also believe it's not mentally healthy for a young child that at such a young age learns to distance from other people. Spending time with a smart, capable, and strong father, having fun, and creating memories seems like a superior choice. So that was Mateo's thoughts on whether I should send Clark to school. This next one here is from James Rolfe. Again, another repeat offender here. Fantastic feedback from James, or Jim, as he's known in some circles. Jim says, there's something to be said about to the interactions kids have at school, both positive and negative, as a learning and life lesson. I would love to have the flexibility you have to spend more time with my kids, but I also know that I'm not a great teacher, and their education would lack the needed substance, as I would not have the time necessary to work to dedicate the focus it would need. I truly respect what a good teacher brings to the table, and to my kids, I appreciate the teachers in our lives. So his thoughts are maybe schooling is better because he wouldn't necessarily be able to replicate what school can offer. And I appreciate that as well. This next one comes from Not Vivid, who has their own story. It says, I was homeschooled for most of my life and I loved it. I had a better relationship with my parents, and I think it's better for children to be homeschooled rather than be stuck in a room in a school for 7 hours when you can get all your work done in 3 hours. And that's kind of where my thought process was going. But now we have another opposing viewpoint here, and this is great conversation. This is from Graphic Bricks. He says, online learning is rubbish. I am doing the last year of my degree online, which is a massive kick in the teeth for me as I'm on a creative course, so no access to any of the studio facilities is super frustrating, and I can barely have a social life anymore. And while I agree with you that teachers are partly slacking on the work, we have to remember that they have been given an unprecedented task in doing online learning, so it's unfair for us to give them crap. I would be awful at organizing hundreds of students to do online learning, and with regards to sending Clark in, I think you should, because holding on to him for too long can feel like he's being cocooned, where he's come to the age where he should be able to spread his wings. If I was given the choice to go to school and see my friends now, I would 110% take it. Yes, COVID is a risk and things will not be the same. Just seeing my friends and other people my age would make me so happy, and I'm sure it will help Clark grow as a person too. Hope this helps. The next one comes from Sam Sung, who says, Hey Greg, great podcast today. About what you're talking about with Clark going back to school. My school is going back to full days tomorrow, and I don't want to be a downer, but I'm worried about how they'll handle it. I read the letter from the superintendent and included language such as social distancing will not be guaranteed, and pictures of our small cafeteria that can barely hold an eighth of the student population when they are crammed in like sardines with tape lines on it and a message saying that all students will eat lunch at school. I don't know about Clark's school, but I think that though this is a difficult time for schools, they can not only half try at this or give up on social distancing. Anyway, I think you and Mrs. Brickitect are very well handled to deal with this situation, and give Clark the best guidance you can, because you can see from Greg's World videos that even when you're at home, you guys are willing to put in the time to make sure Clark gets the best education possible. Next comment on this topic comes from Scott, who says, another awesome episode, Greg. My son just recently went back to hybrid 3rd grade. He didn't want to go, but he does now look forward to going. It's been great to keep a teacher connection and some engagement outside the digital world with friends. I don't think you can go wrong since you're such wonderful parents. He has a Lego tech thought here, though. He says school is like Lego theme sets with instructions, and Lego mock building is the creative side. Both are great skills to learn in life, and I agree with that. That's a good Lego tech thought. That might be a new segment here. Next one comes from a Patreon detector by the name of Our Brick Life. He says, hey, dude, I really feel for you and Cody having to make the decision about sending the Clark man back to school 5 days a week. I find myself a lot of the time in life trying to be a bit more like Greg, but this one time I feel fortunate not to have that decision to make. Wee DJ, who's his son, being a year younger than Clark means that he's only in preschool this year and in Scotland, so being at nursery 2.5 days a week, he's not missing out on too much. And any educational activities he's having are in the form of play and craft. Sending all our best wishes to you, Cody and Clark, are able to make the best decision at this difficult time. P.S. Hope Mrs. Protect is feeling better and the Chima test comes back negative. Stay safe. Mission accomplished at least on one of those things. Next one comes from Els Flint, who always has nice things. You guys are amazing. It says, hi again. I was interested to hear that educational researchers suggest that early years in school are the most important, particularly for emotional and social learning with each other. One thing I love most about your videos is seeing the fantastic learning experience that Clark gets to have. Sadly, a lot of kids don't get such social engagement at home. Next one comes from Violetta. Whatever you decide with Clark and the school situation, I'm sure would be the right decision. I would personally let him stay home for the year, at least until the end of 2020. You are in a special situation where you can take care of him. You should treasure those years. In other news, my wins this week. Ooh, here we go. We're going to be getting into more wins here, but here's your first win of the week. I've been playing guitar almost every day. I've been filming myself and editing videos to post here on YouTube, and it's been fun. Last thing I want to say is I've been watching your vids since I found your podcast on the YouTube Kids thing, and it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for taking your time to share all this. I'm not used to comment on vids because my English is not the best, but I love your vids, so I'm trying. You did. You did a great job. This next one and last one comes from Brooke, who says, I seriously think you should keep Clark home. If you send him back, you wouldn't just be sacrificing your time with him. You could also be potentially risking him and maybe your family getting sick. I don't have a phone yet, but I have an iPod. I first got it when I was 11. I think I was still too young, but from what I've learned, some of the most valuable lessons about how family and friends and your personal life is far greater than video games or social media. Ooh. I consider myself fairly responsible now, and I do worry about the younger generations. If I could go back, I'd wait until at least 13 to get a phone. But even then, I would have to think about how responsible I am. Like Jim said, my win of the week was having a 4-day weekend. School has been stressful, and I'm really enjoying the break. Great podcast as always. Sorry for the super long comment. You guys never apologize for long comments. I want longer comments. I loved that feedback because there are so many different demographics there that have been touched. There's kids that are in school currently, younger kids, older kids. There's adults, people with kids, and you all have your experience with it. There's kids in college, or I guess I won't call you kids, adults in college. Like it's fascinating to see everyone's perspective on this. And that's why I really love the viewer or listener feedback segment of this, because I mentioned this before. It's just me sitting here like spewing things that are in my brain. I like to hear what you guys have to say and what your thoughts are on things. And it helps me form my opinions on things too. And you all have very good points. I think if anything that we've learned from this is that it's not really cut and dry. We don't know if this is a good idea or not. I think the only person that really nailed it down is our Brick Life, who says, I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. And I wish Clark was a little bit younger so he didn't have to either, but we're in that spot. And again, I'll let you guys know where we come from this. And you'll know for sure next Sunday. You'll find out what came of this. But I'm going to take your thoughts into consideration and also what the school does. And we'll talk this over as a family and do what we think is the right thing. Next and final segment of today's episode. I know this one's getting a little long for you guys. Maybe some of you guys like the long episodes. We got some wins of the week. And this I had to actually cut down a little bit because there were 17 wins of the week in addition to the wins that we've already shared here in the other comments. So I cut this down a little bit. I hope you're not upset if your win doesn't get shared. I just picked out some of the I guess ones that weren't just directly related to Lego, like I finished a Lego set or I got a Lego set. These ones are a little bit all over the place, I guess, and I'll share those with you here. First one comes from Evan, who says, my win of the week was finding and building the NES set. So this one is a little bit Lego related, but this has a story, which I love. It says, I went to my local Lego store to either buy the Razor Crest or Hidden Side Castle set, but after aimlessly pacing the store for ages, I decided I'd probably get the most out of the NES, and boy, I was right. I'd already seen plenty of reviews, yours included, of course, and I already thought it was the most brilliant thing Lego's come up with, and building it only reinforces that opinion. I agree. 2020 has been full of phenomenal sets, but this one takes the cake. My favorite part might be how the spring-loaded cartridge tray thing works exactly like the real thing. One of my roommates even thought it was one of those imitation NESs with a ton of games preloaded on it because of how accurate it looked. Building the level part reminded me a lot of building the Sith art set. It was monotonous, but in a therapeutic sort of way. And I totally agree. Like if there's two sets this year that I've like enjoyed more than anything, it's been the NES and the Batmobile. And now maybe the Darth Maul bust, we'll find out. I'm probably going to come back to you with that one and be like, it was a nightmare, but it looks amazing. But I thank you for sharing your win of the week. Congratulations on that set. If anyone is on the fence about the NES, you need to jump off of it. It's fantastic. Put it on your Christmas list. Next one comes from Nico Forrest. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It says, hey Greg, my win of the week was finally playing Among Us with my friends. We all go to the park, play together, and have so much fun. Another win of the week was starting to reread for the 100th time the Harry Potter books. I wanted to do that for a while, but never got around to doing that. I thought that was cool, getting together with some friends. It's funny that you're going to a park and you're playing a video game there. That's kind of wild, isn't it? But also kind of cool. Next one comes from Tracy, who's been with us for a very long time, and she's got a really awesome win of the week. My win of the week was that I got hired for a new job in a special ed classroom. I'm working on my special ed degree, so I'm excited for the experience. Congratulations, Tracy. You got a job. Next one here comes from Brick Tony. It says, hiya, Greg. My win of the week was doing 5 pull-ups on my pull-up bar. This is a win because last week I was only able to do 3. Another win of the week was getting an A on a geometry test, which I was most certain I was going to fail. Also wanted to say that seeing Clark sneak down was very funny. Really enjoyed the episode, and Clark, keep it up. Well, thank you, Brick Tony. Next up, we've got a win of the week from Darv. He says, my win of the week was buying my cousin a police station set and building it with him. He's 5. I feel your pain. Actually, that's really cool. I think it's really cool that you got him a set and you're building it with him. That's the kind of stuff. I don't know how old you are, Darv, but that's the kind of stuff that is going to make lasting memories in someone. And he's going to talk about that when he's 15, when he's 30. He's going to be like, remember that time that Darv bought that Lego set and we built it together? That was an amazing experience. And it's cool when you can create that for kids. I hope you do more of that for him. Next one comes from Golden Light Pictures. It says, my win of the week, it was my birthday. Happy birthday, Golden Light Pictures. And we also have another birthday wish going out to Iron Blaster 98. It says, my win of the week was, it was my 16th birthday, so I got to spend it with my friends and family. And for my birthday, I got the Creator Expert roller coaster, which I'm building while listening to Missing Pieces. Love the podcast. Have a great day. Well, thank you guys so much. Oh, I love those wins. I love sending this podcast out with wins. Like it I don't know what it does for you guys, but I just like seeing like all this positivity, especially in times when things aren't like super positive out there, you know, like we're all dealing with everything. And like to hear some people have like some positive experiences, maybe kind of sets us off for a week of positivity on our own. And I like to go out that way. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I hope you have a win of this week, and if you do, you can share it. I'll do my best to share it next week, but like I said, they're getting plentiful. If you guys want to see everyone's wins, you can look back at the comment section of last week's episode. And again, speaking of comments, I'm going to now record the audio-only version of the phone conversation. I don't know what's going to be titled, like when should kids get phones, or kids with phones. I don't know, but I'll record that. That's going to be I don't know how long that's going to be, but it's going to be like a little bonus episode to this one if you're feeling really bored, or maybe you're building the Lego Expert roller coaster right now and you need a little something more to listen to. That'll be coming up. If you want to support this podcast, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can join our Patreon, which is like the biggest help. You can like this episode if you want to. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you can do that there. You can just enjoy this. Most of all, like just be here every week to enjoy the episode. That means a lot to me, and I appreciate you all watching. We'll be back again with you next week with another episode of whatever happens this coming week. I wish I could go to the future and find out and then come back and tell you about it now, but we don't have that technology yet. I don't have that DeLorean. Do we end the episode on a bad joke like that? I think we have to. Thank you guys all for watching, and I hope to find you in the next Missing Pieces, or maybe the next Extra Pieces.